Hello everyone, this is Hasra Sultana, Assistant Professor in Reply Department, working in ISL Engineering College. So previous class in the Electrical Machines 1 subject for Triple second year students, I have said about the introduction to Unit 1. Okay, so Unit 1 is nothing but magnetic field, circuit, force and torque, review of magnetic circuits, MMF, flux, reluctance, inductance. So these things I have already said in the previous class, and Faraday's law and Lenz's law I have said. So in today's class I am going to say about Ampere's law and Biot-Savart's law. So Unit 1 deals with the review of magnetic circuits, magnetomotive force, flux, reluctance, inductance, review of Ampere's law, Biot-Savart's law, Faraday's law and Lenz's law. BH curve of magnetic materials, energy stored in magnetic circuit, force as a partial derivative of stored energy with respect to position of a moving element, torque as a partial derivative of stored energy with respect to angular position of rotating element. See students, all the students of second year should watch the video from starting till the end and give your roll number and your name in the comment section. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, students. So let us see introduction. Magnetic circuit is made up of one or more closed loop paths containing magnetic flux. Flux is usually generated by permanent magnets or electromagnets, and it will be confined to the path by magnetic cores consisting of ferromagnetic materials like iron, although there may be air gaps or other materials in the path. So magnetic circuit already we have seen. So I am just doing a quick revision of what we have done in the last class. So magnetic circuit is like an electric circuit only, okay? But magnetic circuit will be having a closed path containing magnetic flux, whereas electric circuit will be having a current flowing through it. Magnetic circuits are employed to efficiently channel magnetic fields in many devices like electric motors, generators, transformers, relays, etc. Concept of magnetic circuit exploits a one-to-one correspondence between the equations of the magnetic field in an unsaturated ferromagnetic material to that of an electrical circuit. Using this concept, magnetic fields of complex devices like transformers can be quickly solved using the methods and techniques developed for electrical circuits. Magnetomotive force, very important term. Okay, so it is analogous to electromotive force in electrical circuits. What is a magnetomotive force? Magnetomotive force will drive the magnetic flux through magnetic circuits, whereas electromotive force will drive a current of electrical charge in electric circuits. Magnetomotive force is a misnomer since it is not a force, not it is anything moving. So it is better perhaps to call it as a simply MMF. So in analogy to the definition of EMF, the magnetomotive force around a closed loop is defined as F is equal to closed integral HDL, where H is the magnetic field intensity. MMF represents the potential that a hypothetical magnetic charge would gain by completing the loop. Magnetic flux that is driven is not a current of magnetic charge. It merely has the same relationship to MMF that electric current has to EMF. A magnetic circuit, let us see here. Electrical current flowing along a wire creates a magnetic field around the wire. Okay, if this is a wire and whenever current is passing through this wire, electrical flux or magnetic lines will be visualized here. That is nothing but magnetic flux, which is represented by symbol phi, and the direction of this magnetic flux can be determined by using right hand rule. Faraday discovered that current flowing through the coil not only will create a magnetic field in the iron, it will also create a voltage across the coil that is proportional to rate of change of magnetic flux phi in the iron. Then that voltage is called as electromotive force or EMF, and it is designated by the symbol E. Okay, Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. According to this law, E is equal to nd phi by dt. Sign of induced EMF is always in the direction that will oppose the current that created it. That is nothing but a phenomenon which is called as Lenz's law. In the magnetic circuit, driving force analogous to voltage is called as magnetomotive force, which is designated by F, and magnetomotive force is created by wrapping n turns of wire carrying current I. Magnetic motive force F is equal to Ni in ampere turns. So left hand side we can see an electrical circuit, right hand side we can see a magnetic circuit. Electrical circuit will be having a voltage applied to it and current will flow through it. A is the area of cross section, L is the length of the wire, rho is the conductance. Magnetic circuit, voltage is applied, current is produced, flux is produced inside this, N is the number of turns, cross sectional area is A, length is L, permeability is mu. Magnetic flux is proportional to MMF driving force and inversely proportional to a quantity called as reluctance, which is analogous to electrical resistance, resulting in Ohm's law of magnetic circuits given by MMF is equal to reluctance into flux. So this will be same as EMF is equal to resistance into current. V is equal to Ri in electric circuits, or EMF is equal to Ri in electrical circuits is analogous to MMF is equal to R into phi in magnetic circuits. Reluctance R is equal to L by mu A, ampere turn per Weber. Magnetic flux density B is phi by A, Webers per meter square or Tesla. These are the units of magnetic flux density, Webers per meter square or Tesla. And electric current density J is given by I by A. See students, why I am repeating all these terms, because these are very important terms which we have to know as an electrical engineer. Okay, so I am doing a quick revision of what we have done in the previous classes. So magnetic field intensity H with N turns of wire carrying current I, MMF created in the circuit is Ni ampere turns. I representing the mean path length for the magnetic flux. Magnetic field intensity is H is equal to Ni by L, ampere turn per meter, and V is equal to mu H. So this is the table showing the electrical magnetic terms and magnetic units. The term voltage in electrical is similar to magnetomotive force in magnetic circuit, and the units of this magnetomotive force is ampere turns. So in electrical circuit, current I is represented by magnetic flux in magnetic circuit and units are Webers. Resistance is analogous to reluctance in magnetic circuit and its units are ampere turn per Weber. Conductivity is 1 by rho, that is equivalent to permeability mu in magnetic circuits and its units are Weber per ampere turn meter. Current density J is similar to magnetic flux density B in magnetic circuits. Units are Tesla or Weber per meter square. Electric field E in electrical circuit is analogous to magnetic field intensity H in magnetic circuits and its units are ampere turn per meter. So these units are for magnetic terms here students, not for electrical terms. As we are dealing with magnetic circuits, I am telling the units of magnetic circuits only. So very important students, Faraday's law, Lenz's law, Ampere's law, Biot-Savart's law, all these fours you have to know. Okay. So Faraday's first law is nothing but EMF is induced in a coil whenever magnetic field linking that coil is changed. Second law states that magnitude of that EMF induced is proportional to rate of change of flux linkage. So first law can also be said that first law is nothing but what? EMF will be induced in a coil whenever a magnetic field linking that coil is changed. So we are dealing with the coils here. So the coil can be 1 or 2 coils. Okay, as I said earlier, there are two types of EMFs induced. One is dynamically induced EMF. Second is statically induced EMF. So dynamically induced EMF is produced in generators, where we can see that whenever a conductor cuts, magnetic field EMF is induced in it. So there should be a relative motion between conductor and the flux to produce EMF. Okay. Either the conductor should move or the flux should move. If conductor is moving, flux is stationary, then the EMF induced is dynamically induced EMF. And if the flux is moving, conductor is stationary, that EMF is called as statically induced EMF. That is in case of transformers. Dynamically induced EMF in DC generator, statically induced EMF in transformer. So again, the statically induced EMF is of two types, self-induced and mutually induced EMF. Self-induced EMF is one in which if a coil is connected to an alternating voltage, current will be produced, which is alternating. Flux is also alternating type. So this alternating flux is linking with the coil, EMF will be induced in it. That is self-induced EMF. Same flux, if you are connecting one more coil, if you are putting another coil nearby to this first coil, and the same flux is linking with the second coil also, EMF is induced in the second coil, that is called as mutually induced EMF. So statically is divided into two types: self-induced EMF and mutually induced EMF. Is it clear, students? What I am telling here? There are two types of EMFs induced: dynamically and statically induced EMF. Okay, so dynamically in case of DC generator, statically in case of transformers. Second law states that whatever statement we are telling in first law, second law say we are deriving the equation here. Same thing we are writing here. Actually, I am putting here the direct equation. We can derive it from fundamentals also. So the magnitude of induced EMF is proportional to rate of change of flux linkage. E is equal to minus n d phi by dt. So now let us see what is Lenz's law. Lenz's law states that induced EMF due to change of flux linkage by coil will produce a current in the coil in such a direction that it will produce a magnetic field which will oppose the cause, that is the change in flux linkage. Okay, EMF induced will oppose the cause producing it. That is why minus sign is there here according to Lenz's law. Now let us start our today's topic, that is Biot-Savart's law. Biot and Savart conducted experiments on the force exerted by an electric current on a nearby magnet, and they have arrived at a mathematical expression that gives the magnetic field at some point in space due to a current. Now let us see the statement of Biot-Savart law. Magnetic field along vertical current carrying conductor or wire in a closed surface is directly proportional to current and inversely proportional to perpendicular distance from the point of conductor or wire. So mathematically, if you see the proof, consider a current carrying conductor in a closed surface here like this. So I by R into B is equal to K I by R, where K is a proportionality constant. Its value depends on the nature of closed surface where conductor is situated. K is mu naught by 2 pi, and mu naught is permeability of free space, that is given as 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 h by m, and K is 2 into 10 power minus 7 h by m. B is mu naught L by 2 pi R. So this is the direction of magnetic field. Now let us see what is Ampere's law. Biot-Savart's law remains. One more thing I want to say about Biot-Savart's law. So source of the steady magnetic field can be a permanent magnet, an electric field changing linearly with time, or electric density. Then ignore permanent magnet and same time varying electric field. Current focus on magnetic field produced by differential DC element in free space. So the statement of Biot-Savart's law is that magnetic field intensity, let us denote it by dH, produced at point P by differential current element ID is proportional to the product of IDL and sine of the angle between the element and line joining P to the element, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between P and the element. DH is proportional to IDL sine alpha by R square, and its units are ampere turn per meter. Constant of proportionality is 1 by 4 pi. So from the definition of cross product, we can write DH is equal to IDL into AR by 4 pi square, or IDL into R by 4 pi R cube. Direction of DH can be determined by right hand thumb rule pointing in the direction of current. The right hand fingers encircling the wire in the direction of DH, and we can use the right hand screw rule as well along the direction of wire. Point. So direction of advance of screw will be the direction of DH. So if we define K as the surface current density and J is the volume current density, then the source element is related as ideal is KDS, that is JdV. So when we see the features of Biot-Savart's law, Biot-Savart's law is analogous to Coulomb's law in electrostatic field, and Biot-Savart's law is valid for a symmetrical current distribution, and this law cannot be verified as a current carrying conductor of very small length can be obtained practically. Biot-Savart's law is applied only to very small length conductor carrying current, and direction of DH is perpendicular to both ideal and R. Ampere's law. Ampere's law states that the sum of tangential and component of magnetic field of induction and the length of an element of a closed curve taken in a magnetic field is I times the current which passes through the area bounded by the curve. That is summation B delta L is equal to mu naught I. So when we see the proof of this Ampere's law, summation B into delta L is B delta L cos phi. Phi is 0 and delta L is circumference. So summation B delta L is B delta L. B is mu naught I by 2 pi r. So summation B delta L is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r into 2 pi r. That is summation B delta L is mu naught I. So hence it is proved. So when we see the history of this Ampere's law, it is a useful law that will relate the net magnetic field along a closed loop to the electric current passing through the loop. It was first discovered by Andre Marie Ampere in 1826. Andre Ampere formulated a law based on Oersted as well as his own experimental studies. This law can be regarded as an alternative expression of Biot-Savart's law, which also relates the magnetic field and current produced. But it needed an exclusive calculation of the curl of B, and that calculation leads to the limitation of usual form of this law, that is, its validity holding only for steady currents. After 4 decades later, James Clerk Maxwell realized that the equation provided by Ampere was incomplete and extended his law by including that the magnetic field arises due to the electric current by giving a mathematical formulation. Now let us see what is Ampere's circuitry law. So Ampere's circuitry law states that the line integral of the magnetic field over a closed path or loop equals time equals total current enclosed by that closed loop. So we express this law through the mathematical expression is that is closed integral of B dl is equal to mu naught I. Or one more thing, we can say it in the form of um, magnetic intensity also. That is, Ampere's circuit law states that a line integral of H around a closed path is exactly the same as the current enclosed by the path. That is, integral H dl in closed integral H dl is equal to I enclosed. Okay, so here I is nothing but the net current enclosed by the loop 1, and mu naught is the permeability of free space, that is 4 pi into 10 power minus 15 n by a square. So integral form of Ampere's law, there is a closed integral BdL is mu naught integral S J dA, where J is the current density and A is the enclosed area. The differential form of Ampere's law is that delta into B is equal to mu naught J, where J is the current density. So delta into H is equal to J. That is Maxwell's third equation. So apply Ampere's law to determine H for some symmetrical current distribution as we did it for Gauss law. We'll consider an infinite line current and infinite current sheet. Infinite current sheet, that is long filamentary current I along Z axis, will be to determine H at an observation point P. Then we allow a closed path pass through P. This path on which Ampere's law is to be applied is known as Amperian path. Choose a concentric circle as Amperian path. Since this path encloses the whole current I according to Ampere's law, I is equal to integral H dl and I equal to integral H phi A phi, rho d phi A phi. That is H phi integral rho d phi or H phi 2 pi rho. So I will be equal to H phi 2 pi rho or H is equal to I by 2 pi rho A phi. So when we see the differential form of Ampere circuit's law, differential point form of Ampere circuit's law states that curl of the magnetic field intensity H is equal to the conduction current density J. That is, curl H is equal to J. So point form of Ampere's law is known as the fourth Maxwell equation. Let us see the applications of Ampere's law. So this Ampere's law can be used in solenoids, toroid. Okay. Let us see the first one. Magnetic field inside a long cylindrical conductor. A cylindrical conductor with radius r will carry current I. Current is uniformly distributed over the cross-sectional area of the conductor. Find the magnetic field as a function of distance r from the conductor axis for points both inside and outside the conductor. From Ampere's law, we can write that integral B dl is equal to mu naught into I enclosed. So we will take the Ampere loop to be a circle. So for points inside the conductor, Ampere loop will be a circle with radius r, where small r is less than capital R. Okay, this is a small r. Small r and this is capital R. Okay. So current enclosed will be 1 by pi r square into pi r square, or B into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught I by pi r square into pi r square. B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi into r by r square. So for points outside the conductor, Ampere loop will be a circle of radius r, where r is greater than r. Current enclosed will just be I. So B into 2 pi r is mu naught I, or B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r. In application of Ampere's law, it is used in as magnetic field of a solenoid. Solenoid is consisting of a helical winding of wire on a cylinder, usually circular in cross section. If the solenoid is long in comparison with its cross sectional diameter and the coils are tightly wound, internal field near the midpoint of the solenoid's length is very nearly uniform over the cross section and parallel to the axis, and the external field near the midpoint is very small. So we are using Ampere's law to find out the field at or near the center of such a long solenoid. Solenoid will have n turns of wire per unit length and it will carry the current I. Now according to Ampere's law, we can write closed integral B dl is equal to mu naught into I enclosed. So following the integration path, we can write integral B dl is mu naught n Li. So this is a solenoid and this is the integration path. B is 0 here, A, B, C, D are the 4 points. Here is the length of the conductor. Okay. So integral A to B BdL plus integral B to C BdL plus integral C to D BdL plus A to D to A BdL is equal to mu naught n Li. So integral A to B, the value is B into L. From B to C, no value, so 0. C to D 0 and D to A 0. So only from A to B we are having the value. Okay. That is BL is equal to mu naught n Li or B is equal to mu naught n I. LL gets cancelled. Now let us see third application of Ampere's law, that is magnetic field of a toroidal solenoid. So in this figure it shows a donut shaped toroidal solenoid wound with n turns of wire carrying current I. Finding the magnetic field at all points. So from Ampere's law we can write integral B dl is mu naught I closed. Let us consider path 1. So no current will be passed by this path. So magnetic field along the path is 0. Now let us consider path 3. Net current enclosed by the path is 0. So magnetic field along the path is 0. So when we consider path 2, B into 2 pi r is mu naught Ni, that is B is equal to mu naught Ni by 2 pi r. Limitations of Ampere's law. Limitations of Ampere's law is that it is valid only for steady current. Conventional form of Ampere's circuitous law was pointed out by Maxwell. He introduced the concept of displacement currents, that is currents associated with time-varying electric fields, to generalize Ampere's circuitous law even for non-steady currents. So it was this generalization of Ampere's circuitous law that played a crucial and central role in the development of Maxwell's electromagnetic theory of light. What is the main difference between the Biot-Savart's law and Ampere's law? Okay, so the difference between these two laws is same as the difference between Coulomb's law and Gauss' law. Coulomb's law and Gauss' law both help us in determining charge distribution, but Gauss' law is easier and convenient in the sense that it uses symmetry, example spherical, cylindrical, cuboidal, etc. Similarly, Biot-Savart's law and Ampere's law both help in finding magnetic field distributions, but Ampere's law takes symmetry into account as it's a closed line integral, that is Amperian loop. Both laws can be used to calculate the net magnetic field produced at a point by various distributions of current. Okay, so what we are telling is that both Biot-Savart's law and Ampere's law help in finding magnetic field distribution, but Ampere's law takes symmetry into account. So both laws can be used to calculate net magnetic field produced at a point by various distributions of current. Where we can use Ampere's law is that magnetic field of a solenoid or magnetic field of a toroid. Thank you everyone for watching the video. I hope class is clear to everyone. Students, if you have any doubts in all these four basic laws, Faraday's law, Lenz's law, Biot-Savart's law, Ampere's law, you can ask me. Okay, we have finished a very important aspect of our unit 1, that is review of magnetic circuits is over. That is what is MMF, what is flux, what is reluctance, inductance, review of Ampere's law, Biot-Savart's law, Faraday's law, Lenz's law. Okay. Next class I will be telling about the BH curve of magnetic materials, energy stored in magnetic circuits. Okay. These points I will cover in next class. So I hope today's class is clear to everyone. So I think everyone understood what exactly is magnetic circuit, what is electric circuit, what are the analogy between electric and magnetic circuits. Okay, I think this is clear to everyone. What is magnetomotive force, what is reluctance, what is EMF, electromotive force, what is resistance. Okay. Okay, this one. What is the EMF in electrical is analogous to MMF in magnetic. Current is analogous to flux. Resistance is analogous to reluctance. Conductivity, permeability, current density, flux density, electric field, magnetic field intensity. Okay. See, this you have to remember, students, so it will be easy for you. Faraday's law, first law, second law, Lenz's law, Biot-Savart's law, Ampere's law. See, this can be asked for short questions. Define or give the statement of Ampere's law, or give the statement of Biot-Savart's law, or Faraday's law, Lenz's law. This can come for short questions. If it comes for long question, you have to write the entire theory related with that law. Okay, and you have to write some introduction part also. Okay, students, I hope this is clear to everyone. Thanks for watching the video.